Hello everybody, it's Maikito. I hope everybody's having a good day. Tomorrow slate is not as big as last videos, which is still fine because there's still plenty of games to go through, and there was a lot of picks that I did like. A lot of those picks haven't been added on PrizePicks, just they don't have a lot of plays out right now, so I'm sure they'll get added later on, so keep an eye out for those. But the first play that I like is Murillo to go higher than 46.5 passes, playing away from home for Nottingham Forest, going up against Brighton. In 4 games so far in the Prem, he's only gone over in 1 out of 4, and I think this is a trap. They want you to go under. It's one of those where I just think that just looking at the last 4 games, you'll think that he's going to go under again. But I disagree. In the games where he went under with 23 against Liverpool. But that was because 1, they were winning, so they gave 1 more possession to Liverpool, and 2, it's Liverpool, they hold a lot of the ball anyway, so I don't blame him for that. He went under with 33 against Southampton, and Southampton is actually a team that, first of all, likes to hold possession anyways, and 2, Forest were winning, so again, they gave the possession over to them, and when they did have it, they focused on defending and trying to waste time as opposed to actually trying to pass the ball around, so again, I don't blame him there. He went under with 39 against Bournemouth, and that's because Bournemouth is an aggressive side. They pressed a lot, so it was hard for him to get those passes. But on the other hand, Brighton are not an aggressive team. They do not press a lot. They want you to come at them, and they'll take the ball away from you, steal it, and they defend really well. So they're not really much of an aggressive side, which is good for us because that gives Forest more opportunities to try to pass the ball around on defense, because that's where a lot of their setups for attack is going to be in. And if you look, first of all, he is really the main ball playing center back. He's the one that gets the ball more, and he's the one that tries to help Forest in the attack when it comes to sending those longer balls. And if he likes to play those long balls, gets the ball, moves a little forward, tries to find his teammates on the run and send those. And against them last season, he actually went over in both games against them. When he played them away, he went over with 62 with only 36% of the ball, so went way over. And then at home, he had 65 as well, going over with only 47% of the ball as well. So he went over against them in both games. And like I said, that's because Brighton are not an aggressive team, and they'll let Forest play around in the back because they just want to focus on not conceding. So Brighton are more likely, in my opinion, to take the lead in the game, which means that would mean more possession for Forest and more chances for him to try to send those long balls. I don't see Forest taking the lead here and them just defending. I see Brighton doing it, so I'm not really worried too much about Forest giving away that much possession when it comes to them taking the lead. And I think they're underestimating Murillo. I think this is a trap. I like the over on his 46.5 passes. My next prop is Yamal to higher than 2.5 shots, playing away from home for Barcelona, going up against Villarreal. They tend to keep his prop here, and I'm going to take it every time. Last video, I put him up at 2, and he pushed at 2. If he took the bump, unfortunately he missed, but the only reason why he went under is because Barcelona were a man down within like the first 10 minutes, and he still managed to. If they would have had all full 11 players on his team, he would have definitely gone over. And in the league so far, he's had 3 away games, and he's gone over in all 3 of those games. He went over with 4 against Valencia, over with 5 against Vallecano, and over with 5 against Girona, so he's gone way over this prop, and that's mainly because Barcelona, when it comes to their away games, they tend to be closer when it comes to them trying to win the game, which means he has to be more aggressive for them to try to win those games. And last season in those games, Barca won 1 and lost 1. They lost 3-5 and won 3-4. So like I said, these games are close and they're high scoring. And in those games, he went over this prop in both of them with 7 shots and 4 shots. So because it's a close game, he's going to be there, be aggressive. It's a away game with Barcelona 10 to make the games closer. So again, he's going to be more aggressive. And Villarreal allow a lot of shots. They gave Atletico 9 shots, which they this season just haven't been shooting much at all. They gave Sevilla 16. They gave Celta 20. They gave Valencia 22. And Valencia are not a team that shoots that much. And they gave Mallorca 9. And Villarreal are weak against attacks that come down the wings, which is perfect for Yamal. I like the matchup. I like that it's going to be a close game. I like that he's going to be aggressive. And last season, he took 37 from inside the box and 21 from outside the box. So he's another one of those players that cuts in, shoots on his foot, has a lot of space for opportunity. He's a great dribbler, can create his own spaces. And I like that you can get this at plus money on underdog right now. I like Yamal to higher than 2.5 shots. My next prop is Artem Dovbyk to go higher than 2.5 shots playing at home for Roma, going up against Udinese. He's gone over in 3 out of 4 games so far in the league this season. He had 3 against Cagliari, Empoli, and Genoa. His only under was against Juventus, and he's only been able to play 1 home game. 3 of them have been away, one of them including the Juventus game, and they finally get to play at home again. Last season in La Liga, when he played for Girona, he averaged 2.94 shots per 90, so he averaged almost pretty much 3 shots in that league. And in that season, he took 50 with his left and 29 headers. And I mentioned that because he's 6'2", so he's good in the air as well. And first of all, Udinese don't keep possession of the ball, which means more time for Roma and Dovbyk to get those shots off. And they're not good at defending set pieces, and he is a set piece threat and one of the players that they look to when it comes to trying to attack those headers. And Roma are good at those set pieces and like to take those set pieces. So far this season, Udinese have been playing well and they're yet to lose, but this is a real test now for them. When it comes to the amount of shots that they've gave opponents, they gave Bologna 22, Lazio 17, they gave Como 29, and they gave Parma 9. So they've been allowing a lot of shots, and a lot of the reasons why they haven't lost so far is because of the amount of saves they've been making. But we're not really worried about the Roma winning part. We just need them to take the shots, and I like Dovbyk in this game. And Roma are yet to win this game, so they're gonna want to prove a point against a team that's undefeated, and they in their opinion are gonna think they're better than them, which in my opinion their team is better than theirs. And Dovbyk is a striker, and I think 2.5 is too low. So like Artem Dovbyk to go higher than 2.5 shots. And my last prop that I have so far is Florian Wirtz to go higher than 2.5 shots playing at home for Leverkusen, going up against Wolfsburg. He's gone over in 3 out of 4 games for his club so far for Leverkusen. He's only played 1 at home, and in that game, he had 7 shots against Leipzig, a much better defense. Now he's playing at home versus Wolfsburg, which is a better matchup by far. And in both games last season that he played against them, he played 1 at home, he had 3, and then the 1 away, he didn't start the game. He came off the bench, played 30 minutes, and still had 2 shots. So he would have gone over if he would have played the full game. So I like the matchup. He's done good against them last season. And this season so far, he's taken 8 with his right, 4 with his left, 7 shots from inside the box, 6 shots from outside the box. So not only is he shooting from both feet, which is much of an improvement from last year, he's also been shooting from inside the box and outside the box. And I feel like a reason for that is because instead of Hoffman being his attacking midfielder partner, it's been changed to Terrier. And Terrier is, in my opinion, a better playmaker in that sense. So he's been getting more opportunities when it comes to taking those shots. And last season, he took 43 from inside the box and 28 from outside the box. So it's not like he's just starting to shoot from outside. He's been doing it since last season, and he's a great dribbler who can create his own chances. And not only that, Wolfsburg are weak against players that are good dribblers and skillers and stuff like that. So it's another good matchup for him. And Wolfsburg have only played 1 away game and gave Kiel, the worst team so far in the Bundesliga, 13 shots. And Leverkusen can definitely take way more. Wirtz can take more than that. He's done good against them last season. He's done good this season, and it's a really good matchup. So I like Florian Wirtz to go higher in 2.5 shots. I just want to give a quick shout out to my partner Underdog Fantasy. You can use code Maikito in the description. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. I also have the YouTube membership for those that don't know. It's for those that want to get the plays out early before anyone else to try to avoid potential bumps, plays getting taken away, because this seems to happen often. And it's also a great way to support the channel if you're interested in that. If not, I also have PrizePicks. I have Fliff, which is where I play my money lines, which I'll get into that later on. I also have my Cashapp if you want to donate, and I really appreciate anybody who supports me in any way. My first moneyline play is the Brighton moneyline against Nottingham Forest. They're undefeated in their first 2 games. They've won 2 and drawn 2. They beat Man U. They beat Everton, and they drew to Arsenal, which was a great achievement there. But then in their last game, they drew to Ipswich, and they're gonna want to play well after that game. It was a disappointing game for them. They couldn't score, so I expect them to be more aggressive in this next game against Nottingham Forest. And they beat Nottingham in both games last season, so it's a good matchup for them as well. And Forest have played well, just coming off a game playing against Liverpool, which is why I feel like you're getting better value here. But I don't expect that to happen again. It was just a bad game for Liverpool. And if you saw the next game that they played in the Champions League, Liverpool came back and they did really well. So it was just a bad game for Liverpool, and I don't expect the same thing to happen to Brighton, especially coming off that disappointing game, like I mentioned, a draw to Ipswich Town. And Brighton just have the better team, in my opinion. They have the better squad depth by far. And last season, Forest were bottom 4 when it comes to away games in the league last season. They scored 22 and conceded 37 and 19, so they conceded almost 2 goals a game last season away from home, and they lost 11 out of those 19 games. And Brighton is just a much more consistent team with more depth, better attackers, Mitoma, João Pedro, Dani Welbeck, Adingra. They just have a much better team in my opinion, and I like the Brighton money line against Nottingham Forest. The second play that I like is the Leverkusen second half 3-way money line going up against Wolfsburg. I feel like you're getting better value here taking the second half instead of just the full game. You could take a look at the -1.5, but I just like this prop a little better. They beat them and went over this prop in the second half. This prop hit in both games against them last season. Wolfsburg have a decent defense this season. They're not a bad defense. They have Arnold and Özcan in the midfield, which has helped them breaking up the opponent's attacks. And it took Bayern an 82nd minute winner to even beat Wolfsburg. And then the other game that they lost was against Frankfurt, and it took an 82nd minute pen to beat them. So it's not like Wolfsburg is a bad defense. They've just been getting unlucky, and they've been doing good at holding off opponents, and I expect the same thing to happen to Leverkusen. And people know, if you watched last season, that Leverkusen is a second half team. Whether they're tied or they're losing, they always seem to do much better in the second half than in the first half. And Wolfsburg may not even score this game, which just depends on whether Leverkusen will in the second half, and I think they will. Last season, Wolfsburg scored 6 goals and conceded 17 away games in the second half, and they lost in the second half 10 out of 17 of those games, so that's really good for us. And then Leverkusen are a team who can attack, who can score from anywhere and from anyone, whether it's the attackers like the striker Wirtz or Boniface, or even from their wing backs with Frimpong and Grimaldo, or even their center backs, because Leverkusen get a lot of set pieces, and they can score from their center backs like Hincapié, so they can score from anywhere, from anyone, at any time. This prop hit both times against Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg are not a bad team, so it's not going to be an easy game for Leverkusen by any means, so I expect them to score more in the second half pretty much, which is what we want. So I like the Leverkusen second half 3-way money line against Wolfsburg. Quickly going over last video's picks, as you can tell from the title, swept the money lines 3 days in a row now, 3 videos in a row now, back to back to back. Spurs money line hit, Burnley higher than 1.5 goals. That was just extremely sweaty. They scored last minute of the game, came through for us, and they won that game. They went over that 1.5 goals prop. And then the Inter Miami winner draw, I knew that one was an absolute steal as well. Even later on in the day, it got less juiced, which I don't see why, which is really good. They were winning and they conceded last minute of the game, but that's fine because we just needed them to not lose. So that one hit for us as well. And then when it comes to the player props, the ones that hit were Ndidi shots, Flecken saves, and Kulusevski shots. So and then calendar for Inter Miami ended with 3 saves. If he would have got that save in the last minute instead of in New York tying, he would have hit this, probably gone over, but it was still a push, which is better than nothing. And then I added 2 plays, which those were not good. I have to apologize for that one. And that was the Rodgers to go higher than 2 shots. That one missed. And then the other plays were Golini higher on save. That one missed. Herrera missed, and then Gonzalez missed as well. When it came to the player props, it was 3 and 4, so not the best. Player props lately, just as you can tell, they haven't been the best. They haven't been bad, but they haven't been the best. So hopefully tomorrow I can improve on that. But on the other hand, money lines just have been really, really good. So hopefully I can carry the momentum onto these picks and tomorrow, and we can do really good on both player props and money lines. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good night, a good day. If I have any other props, I'll add them in the pinned comment in the YouTube, outside the Discord, free, where you can just talk about lines, post your slips, people give their opinions, talk during the games. Great community I'm trying to build over there. But as always, like I mentioned, I hope everybody has a good night, a good day, and we can cash out tomorrow.